convenience factor is what we're really proud of. That's what really kind of puts us apart from other traditional lenders that may require heavy paperwork, business plans, or other information that might take weeks in order to process to come to a decision. We're making these decisions on a small amount of data online within minutes of sign up.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ashoka Maimona. I'm the host of today's interview on behalf of Smarter Loans. Our guest today is William Ross, Head of Marketing Operations and Thinking Capital. How are you, William?
I'm very good, thanks. How are you, Ashoka?
Good. Great to see you today. I know we've been chatting off and on for a number of months, and I spoke with Mario Bottone, who also works at Thinking Capital a couple of weeks ago, and we had a very informative chat. So we're excited to chat with you today, William Ross. Just to give a brief overview, because we've talked about Thinking Capital in the past, but just to let our viewers know, it's one of the pioneering fintech companies. If you want to give your spiel of what Thinking Capital does and how our viewers can maximize its potential.
Yeah, definitely. First of all, it's really exciting to hear us being described as a pioneering fintech company, because we also we view ourselves very much as the premier kind of small business lender as well, as an alternative from banks within Canada. So we weren't always pure technology as a company. We actually were founded in 2006. And in that time, we've funded over 16,000 small businesses. So we have a very large pool of small Canadian businesses in our roster. And, we view ourselves as very much the experts in that space in terms of small business lending. And we really know the market very, very well and in a sort of deep way. And it's only been over the past year or two that we've had this real transformation into being a true tech player with a 100% digital application process that is 24/7 full online self-serve application process where small business customers can come and get access almost instantly to capital. So the description of being known as a premier fintech player is exactly where we want to be. And I think we've now achieved that over the past year.
No, that's a great point, William. And I know Mario and I spoke about this briefly, but if you could touch on, from the marketing aspect, it's interesting that Thinking Capital's journey the past year and a half, 2 years, has been, to quote Mario, to transform itself to an end-to-end digital lender. And in my mind, reading about the company's trajectory since 2006, I would have thought that that was already part of your DNA. But if you could tell me from a marketing perspective how the company has shifted from 2006 to now, 15 years, which is a long time in the fintech world, at least.
Definitely. I mean, obviously 15 years ago, we didn't have access to the same type of technology that we have access to now. So all these exciting buzzwords that you hear in the industry, like machine learning and AI, all of these things that are still, even now, still relatively new and still very much in their infancy, stage of development, we are now able to make use of in order to, improve our decision making and our adjudication tools. So put that into kind of plain English, when a small business comes and signs up to Thinking Capital online, we're able to use our AI and machine learning capabilities to make instant decisions about that business on a very small amount of data, such as business name, address, industry, average monthly sales. Using that data, we can actually find out a lot more about the business, run all the required checks that need to be run without requiring additional paperwork, for instance, and coming to a very specific decision, a monetary amount that we would then be able to lend to that business. So literally within minutes of signing up. We're very much kind of embracing technology and embracing newness, I guess, and progress. We have always been a company that's done that. It's just that tools that are available to us in 2021 are very different to what was available to us in 2006. So as I said, we've serviced a lot of business in our time and in our history. Our offering has been getting better and better and stronger and faster and more convenient for small businesses. And at the end of the day, that whole convenience factor is what we're really proud of. That's what really kind of puts us apart from other traditional lenders that may require heavy paperwork, business plans, or other information that might take weeks in order to process to come to a decision. We're making these decisions on a small amount of data online within minutes of sign up. So a lot of progress that's happened in the past 15 years. And that will continue. We have a lot of exciting new tools that we'll be introducing in the coming months and further down in the coming years as well.
That's really fascinating, William. In terms of what prompted this shift, is it customers demanding a shift to complete digitization? Is it the market? Is it competitors? Is it the fact that we share the largest border with a country that is at the forefront of tech innovation? What are some of your thoughts on that?
I think it's a little bit of all of those things. You touched on sharing the border with a country that has a lot of tech innovation. Traditionally, Canadian banks have been very innovative entities, but in the past sort of 5, 10 years, we've seen them sort of falling behind a little bit on their offering, especially in the small business space. And in the small business community, it's such a vital part of the Canadian economy. And there are billions of dollars every year that are left on the table where businesses do not get the funding that they could potentially receive purely because the banks are not set up that way and they're just not catering to that segment of the economy. So this is something that we've kind of really taken to heart because as small business experts and as a business who really focuses on this area, we really recognize the opportunities that this sector of the industry provides, not only to us as a lender, but also what we can do as a lender to help grow a really vital part of the Canadian economy. So there is a gap in between sort of demand and what is being supplied to small Canadian businesses at this stage. And so, that's why our offering is such an exciting one, and why the ease and the modernity of what we're offering is kind of trying to match up to demand that there is in the market right now. The other thing that you touched on was whether it was to do with the actual demand from specific businesses. And that's also very much the case. We need to remember who our customer is. At the end of the day, it's small business owners who will typically be spending their days running their business. That is their absolute area of expertise. And that's what they should be focusing on. And typically, these small business owners will be leaving their accounting and their finances to the end of the day and maybe on weekends if they don't operate on weekends. So it's kind of out of hours that they're focusing on the financing aspect of their business. And then during the day, during the working day, that's when they're actually doing the important thing, which is the running of the business. So as a result of that, we need to make sure that we're catering around the needs of these small business owners and providing our services as and when they need access to it, which is not 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. It's out of hours. It's on weekends. It's, whenever that business owner has the time to actually look at their finances and put in an application. So as a result, the whole digitizing and automation of our application process was very much in response to the fact that we realized that a lot of these business owners don't want to wait and use up their working hours putting in an application that might take hours to put through or days to put through, speaking with an advisor at a traditional bank or collecting the paperwork that they require. No, we want them to be able to sign up whenever they want, whether it's 3 a.m. or 4 p.m, sign up and in a matter of minutes find out exactly how much they have access to. So it's really about the ease and simplicity of the application process.
That's a great point, William. I think time is definitely of the essence for many small business owners. You briefly spoke about buzzwords in the tech industry, but let's perhaps pivot to tech words in the marketing and comm space. So a lot of people talk about the user experience, the customer journey. What does that mean for you? And particularly in this niche market? I mean, not necessarily niche, but in the financial brand space, what do those buzzwords mean for you?
Those buzzwords literally mean everything to me. At the end of the day, user experience and customer journey are two of the most important things to us, especially as a tech company that is expecting customers to be able to self-serve as and when they need access to funds, to be able to come to Thinking Capital and be able to easily get access to the funds that we're providing. At the end of the day, if you don't have a good customer journey or if you don't have a good user experience, it creates friction, creates frustration as well for the business owner that is effectively offering us their valuable time in signing up. And so, for us, we want the ability to get access to funds to be literally as easy as creating a Facebook account or, creating a LinkedIn account. And it really should be that easy. It should be that self-explanatory. We're kind of demystifying the application process, right? So effectively with Thinking Capital, 3 easy steps, you would be able to access funds. So, step 1 is creating your account, entering an email address and a password. Step 2 is entering a few details about your business, really simple details like business name, address, and owner name and address. And then the third step would be just connecting your business bank account so that we can then effectively have a look at your cash flow and come up with an instant amount that we can lend to you. So it's really simple, 5 minute sign up process. And within those 5 minutes, you then have access to those funds.
William, I'm curious, your bread and butter, your expertise is marketing. If you can give us a little bit of background of how you came into specifically thinking capital, but this space of financial brands and marketing in this space.
Yeah, definitely. So I actually have quite a bit of experience in the lending space, the digital lending space, but in a very different segment of the economy. So in a previous role, I was actually working for another fintech company, another, I guess, provider of loans, except it was a very different type of loan. It was called a syndicated loan. And those types of loans are effectively much bigger. We're talking about like billions of dollars. So for instance, let's say a company wants to build a new wind farm, or a supermarket wants to open up a whole new chain of stores in a new country or a new region. They would go to their relationship bank and
Mhm.
they would ask them for however many billions of dollars they would need to run this massive project. And that bank would say, yeah, absolutely, we have a good relationship with you as a business. We will be able to provide these funds to you. What that bank then does is it then syndicates that loan, because no one bank would traditionally lend those types of large amounts. So effectively, it would enter into a syndicated loan deal with other banks in the region or in that sector. So you might have, 5, 6, 7 different banks all coming together to provide a different tranche of that specific loan. Now, the actual syndication process was managed on a platform called Debt Domain. And that was the company that I used to work for. So once again, still in the loan space, but a very different type of loan. And obviously kind of moving into the thinking capital world, I think what really excites me about our product and what we're offering now, especially I guess in relation to what I was previously doing, is our customers. These are relatable businesses. These are small, privately owned Canadian businesses that make a vital part, as I said earlier, make up a vital part of the Canadian economy. So it's a much more relatable relationship that we have with our customers. We're not dealing with conglomerates and multi-billion-dollar companies. We're dealing with everyday bread and butter companies that really make up the foundation of our economy. So it's very rewarding.
No, definitely. In terms of connecting with SMBs, what kind of messaging do you find resonates with most of your customers, or what might be potential platforms and channels that you use to reach out to them in the first place?
Yeah. In terms of the messaging, first of all, I typically find and being as transparent, straightforward, and simple and honest as possible is really the best way to get our message across, especially with financial solutions, financial tools, financial products. They can very often be shrouded in kind of mystery and be overcomplicated, really. And at the end of the day, what we are providing to small businesses is something very simple. We are providing access to credit. And it really doesn't need to be more complicated than that. So at every stage of application process and the way that we present ourselves and in our messaging and also in our product offering, we always try and make sure that we are being as transparent and as straightforward as possible. I mean, one of the examples are, we don't hide behind annual percentage rates, APRs, or annualized rates. We really can show the borrower exactly how much a loan will cost them at the point where they are withdrawing funds. So we give them an exact amount. There's no hidden costs, no hidden fees. There's no additional costs to repaying early, for instance. It's all about that transparency, ease, and simplicity of our offering. And that really comes across in our messaging. And we try very hard to make sure that that reflects across our products. In terms of kind of where we market ourselves and how we try and reach businesses, we have a lot of repeat business, and that's something we're very proud of, because obviously it shows that businesses are pleased with the service that we do provide, and we have a very high approval score as well. I think it's actually higher than Apple. So, we have a very high rating in terms of that. So a lot of our business comes from repeat business, but also in terms of attracting new businesses, we really try and position ourselves and place ourselves where small businesses are. So what tools do small businesses use? What do they use for their accounting? Where are they advertising? Are they advertising on Facebook? Are they advertising on Google Marketplace? All these things. So we try and put ourselves always in the position of our customer, in the position of the small business owner, and try and meet them in their place of work, really. So it's kind of, you'll find thinking capital all over the place.
That's very interesting. And especially you're very clear about your passion about the user experience and about the customer journey. I'm sure our viewers would love to know where you think the industry's headed, or currently what are some trends and innovations you're seeing in the space.
Definitely in terms of trends and innovations, obviously everything is going online. And this past year and the trials and tribulations that small businesses have gone through in the past year, which has been a very, very tough time out there. But, the businesses who have managed to ride this very difficult wave that we've been going through in Canada are typically those who are able to provide a digital experience in some form or another. So, for instance, restaurants that provide a takeaway online service, whatever else it might be, whether you're like a small clothing store, if you're able to sell your goods online, it has given you basically a different outlet, a different revenue stream, if you will. And I think coming out of COVID, that's not going to go away. And if anything, I think the most successful businesses will be those who will suddenly find themselves with two types of revenue stream. There'll be the traditional bricks and mortar, for instance, with restaurants with in-house dining, when that comes back, which we're very much looking forward to. When that comes back, that will be effectively a renewal of their previous revenue stream. But also, I do believe that the current revenue stream of online orders and takeaways will continue. And, businesses that have managed to position themselves to be able to really embrace both of those streams will be the ones that will do best. So I think in terms of kind of trends, we'll see a lot more of this kind of online business. And also in terms of, I guess, offering to businesses, as businesses do go online and embrace this new sort of digital world, providers of services to these businesses will also have to do the same. So I feel that Thinking Capital is ahead of the curve in that we are offering our services online with an easy, instant application process. But I think that, the traditional Canadian banks, for instance, are going to have to keep up, and they're going to have to basically step up and ensure that they're also providing as good a service as possible in this new environment. The 9 to 5, having to go into a branch, that's just not going to be the future. And we see that, and that's why we've embraced our digital application process. And any other business that has done the same, I feel will be in a very good place to embrace the challenges of the future.
No, definitely. And William, you've touched on this a little bit just now, but I was going to ask you about common mistakes that you see in perhaps competitors or even the big banks, as you mentioned, when it comes to user experience and customer journey. You've spoken a little bit about how the big banks perhaps haven't been as tech savvy or forward thinking when it comes to connecting with specifically SMBs through tech. But what other mistakes have you seen, perhaps even in messaging?
Yeah, I think there's one big mistake, and it's like the overarching big mistake that we see so many of our competitors and so many Canadian lenders, and the big banks doing, and that is taking their customers for granted. I think that it is so important to never take customers for granted. And, at Thinking Capital, we strive to constantly, as I say, put ourselves in the position of our business customers, of the business owner who we are providing our services to. And with some of our competitors, certainly Canadian banking structure, I think that small businesses have in some ways been left behind. As I said, there's a lot of money that's left on the table where businesses go unfunded or can't get access to funds. I think that all boils down to banks or other lenders taking these businesses for granted or taking their customers for granted and not changing and embracing the newness of technology or ease and simplicity of offering and user experience in order to be able to effectively meet the needs of their customers. At the end of the day, it's got to be about ease, simplicity, and convenience for these business owners. But also, I think that kind of stretches into the consumer space as well. For me as a consumer, I often get very frustrated with the service that I am provided with by the traditional banks. I feel that technology can only change this. And we need to make sure, as a company, that we embrace those changes and that we never take our customer for granted.
Mhm. As a customer myself, I will have to wholeheartedly agree with that. Another point I want to agree with you on, William, is you mentioned transparency and how important that is for you in Thinking Capital. So, connected to that point, how important is financial literacy when it comes to dealing with your customers? Because unfortunately, that's not something, at least when I went through high school in Ontario, that wasn't something that was at the forefront of our curriculum. So, is that something that you at Thinking Capital take as a point, priority to help educate your customers and small business owners when it comes to acquainting themselves with educational content around financial matters?
I guess the answer is yes and no. I think at the end of the day, we shouldn't have to educate our customers. What we should do is change ourselves to make sure that we are understandable and accessible to our customers. This comes back to my point about taking customers for granted. At the end of the day, what Thinking Capital is trying to do is demystify the process and demystify the application process, make it as simple as possible, make it convenient, make it accessible. And in order for us to do that, I guess there are two ways that one could approach it. One is to, as you say, kind of educate the customer and maybe sort of, train them to be able to better understand their options and to understand the application flow. And the other approach, which I feel is actually a much better approach, is to effectively simplify yourself, so simplify our own application process, simplify the products that we are offering. Don't shroud them in complication and mystery and terms that are there to try and trip up the customer. No, at the end of the day, it's about providing a very simple, very transparent offer that is so simple that anyone can understand it. We shouldn't have to explain or educate or teach someone about our products. They should be so simple that anyone can sign up and understand what we're offering. So, that's very much, the approach that Thinking Capital has taken. So if you sign up as a small business owner, you'll see that the sign up process is literally as easy as creating a Facebook account or a LinkedIn account. And then as soon as your account is created, you'll see how much funds you can access. And then if you decide to draw on those funds, the drawing process is also really simple. You choose how much you want to draw. You choose how long you want to have those funds for, how long you want to take to repay. And you also choose the repayment frequency. So do I want to repay on a daily basis, a weekly basis, a monthly basis? So you can choose all of that. It's fully flexible. It's really easy, really transparent, really simple to use. And then once you've chosen your terms, you'll see exactly how much it's going to cost you, no hidden fees. And then you can decide whether or not, with no commitment, whether or not you do want to take those funds or not. So up until you decide to take the funds, there's no impact on credit score or on credit history. It's really simple, transparent. You'll be able to just see how much it costs. And if that suits your business at that particular moment, then you can withdraw the funds and they'll hit your account within 24 hours. There is nothing more complicated than that. And therefore, when it comes to financial products, at the end of the day, they really should be simple. That's how they should be. They should be easily understandable by the customer. And anything that tries to cloud that or tries to complicate that, I think customers should be wary of.
Now, that's a great point, and perhaps a great segue, William, into demystifying the whole process for our viewers. So let's get down to basics. What would be the difference if you were to explain to a viewer in plain language, difference between a line of credit, a term loan, and a merchant cash advance?
A line of credit is really where you have access to a pool of funds that you can draw on at any given stage. So, for instance, what we offer at Thinking Capital is a line of credit. So you'd be able to sign up, get access to funds. Effectively, you'd be able to find out exactly how much you get access to. So you could sign up and suddenly find out that you have access to a line of credit of $300,000, for instance, with no commitment. So there's no impact on your credit score. Once again, no impact on your credit history or credit rating. But then if you decide to draw down on anything up to that $300,000, even if you decide to draw, on $5,000, for instance, that's when you would incur a cost, right? So you'd incur interest and you would be able to repay. And, Thinking Capital is very transparent in terms of what that cost is. So you'd be able to decide whether or not you're happy with incurring that cost. So that's kind of a line of credit. And so it's effectively a pool of capital that you can use that's at your disposal to use as and when you wish. So that's kind of what we're offering. Then a merchant cash advance is more based on a sales volume. So this typically, it works well if you have a very regular cash flow. But if your cash flow is irregular, for instance, you're like a seasonal business, this is a bit more of a challenge because the lender would typically be taking percentage of your sales. on a daily basis. So the repayment process is not really in your control. So that's kind of a little bit, maybe more of a risky product, some might say. It's also typically a more expensive product because obviously the lender is incurring more of a risk. This is a product that Thinking Capital used to offer. We actually moved away from that because we found that providing a business with full flexibility in terms of how they repay, when they repay, and how much they can access is far more convenient to our customer, to the small business owner. And then there's the working capital product. And, the thinking capital product is a kind of a hybrid line of credit working capital product. So your traditional working capital product is just a standard loan, like a fancy name for a business loan that you can use as working capital effectively, used to run your business for any business costs that you might have. And Thinking Capital has kind of like rolled their working capital product into their line of credit product. So that basically means that, when you do sign up to Thinking Capital, we tell you in advance how much you would be able to access. So you sign up, takes 5 minutes to sign up, and you would find out instantly how much you can borrow. And then whatever you draw down from that, I guess you could call it a line of credit, whatever you draw down from that is effectively a working capital loan that you can then use for whatever business costs you want to use it for.
That's very helpful. And in terms of a few things about, let's say, these types of credit products, line of credit, let's say specifically, that people don't often discuss that you think, is really important for the borrower to know.
I think I want to kind of really drive home one of the most important things, which is that there's no commitment required. There's no impact on signing up to Thinking Capital and getting access to the line of credit. So, once again, the sign up process takes literally 5 minutes. No paperwork required. You don't need to speak with an advisor unless you want to. We have a great customer service team, but we know that a lot of business owners really kind of want to just kind of get on with it and be able to manage the process themselves. So, we're there to help however they can go through the application for themselves. And as soon as they do sign up, they can see exactly how much they qualify for. And that process is totally free, right? There's no impact on the credit score. There's no impact on their credit history. So there's no negative impact at all on signing up to Thinking Capital, and there's no commitment required. So there's no reason why you as a small business owner shouldn't sign up right now and just find out, just out of interest, find out how much you would get access to today. And then if you then decide, based on how much you get access to, if you decide that you want to draw on some of those funds or all those funds, you then have the full flexibility to choose, how you draw it, when you repay it, and the term that you want to borrow it for. And only when you then decide to draw on those funds, will you then incur, obviously, the commitment of having to repay that loan. So I guess the most important thing that I want to kind of really emphasize is the lack of need for any type of commitment when signing up to Thinking Capital, in order to just very simply find out of interest how much you could get access to right away.
Okay, no, that's great. And in terms of common reasons why or when one should obtain business financing, what are some optimal times people should access financing, and when might be some times perhaps it's not as optimal?
I think at the end of the day, small business owners really should be able to get access to financing as and when they need it, right? So they shouldn't have to look into a crystal ball and work out where they're going to be in a month's time. I mean, certainly, if anything in the past year has taught us that there is so much unpredictability in running a business. And so what I would say is, in terms of getting access to funds, a business should be able to get access to funds instantly and whenever, wherever they need it. And this is something that Thinking Capital is providing. So what I would say to any kind of small business owner that is watching, I would say that the best time to sign up to Thinking Capital is now, because you would then be able to find out right now how much credit you can access. And it doesn't mean that you necessarily need to access that credit right now. You may not need those funds, but you don't know where you might be in 2 weeks' time, a month's time, 3 months' time. And the fact that you have taken 5 minutes to create a Thinking Capital account means that you will be able to find out exactly how much you could get access to as and when you need it. And then tomorrow or in a month's time or in 5 months' time, if you then decide that you need to access those funds, you can log back in and you can draw on those funds there and then, and they'll hit your account within 24 hours. So really, at the end of the day, in answer to your question, businesses should only get access to funds when they really need them. At the end of the day, our onus and our responsibility as a lender is to be there for them as and when they need it. So that's why I say, the important thing is for businesses to sign up with no commitment. Just sign up today. It's a very easy process. And then, whether or not you need those funds, at least you know that you have that safety net there that you can draw on at any given stage.
Thank you, William. And in terms of common reasons you've seen small businesses access business capital, and I don't know if you have any success stories, obviously while maintaining privacy, that you could speak to.
Yeah, we have literally 16,000
Yeah.
success stories. So a lot of success stories. And you can just look at our Google reviews as a pointing case of that. Our Trustpilot reviews, which are, they're all absolutely fantastic, and something we're very proud of. But in terms of success stories and what businesses use our funds for, it really is the full range of things, whether it's paying rent, making sure that they can cover staff costs, utilities, buying new stock, taking their business online, opening up a new premises, doing a renovation works, marketing costs. It really is anything. So that's actually kind of an interesting point to kind of dive in on. A lot of other lenders will traditionally stipulate, they'll tell you what you have to use your funds for. So you can't just get access to funds and then use it for anything. There might be certain restrictions on what you can actually spend that money on. Whereas with Thinking Capital, businesses come to us and use our funds for a whole range of things. We don't put any restrictions on what you can use those funds for. So it's an unsecured loan. We're not asking for any commitment in terms of, you don't have to put the house on it, or you don't need to secure it with premises or equipment or anything like that. It's an unsecured loan that you can use in order to meet any of your business costs or business requirements.
Okay. In terms of businesses that are eligible for such unsecured loans, are there any businesses that wouldn't? If you could speak to that, William?
So the Thinking Capital, we really kind of go across a very wide range of industries. So we're not a niche lender, so we don't pigeonhole ourselves to only lending to one specific sector or segment of the Canadian small business space. We really lend to the full gamut. Having said that, there are certain industries that we are unable to lend to, such as the cannabis space. I would love to be able to lend in the cannabis space because I think it is a fast-growing area of the Canadian economy. However, we're not quite there yet. But in terms of kind of other industries, it's kind of the full range.
And William, to intersect your different skill sets, we were wondering if you had any tips or strategies for small business owners and perhaps even marketing professionals in this.
Yeah, so I guess in terms of tips and strategies for small businesses, this is actually a really good segue into a new product that we're currently developing. I'm just going to take a little step back and sort of talk about how the Thinking Capital product works. So when a small business owner comes onto Thinking Capital, creates their account, we are using our very complex algorithms and using AI and machine learning in order to basically very quickly come up with a decision about that business and about how much we can lend to that business. Now, that decision that we're making is not based on past history, and it's not based on their credit score or whether they had a bankruptcy 15 years ago. It's really about where we believe their business is going. So we're actually forward looking, not backwards looking. So what we're doing with the data and what our algorithms are doing is they are effectively calculating and predicting where we believe a business's cash flow is going to go in the next 30, 60, 90 days. So we're making actually really interesting predictions about your business when you sign up. And we're using those predictions in order to work out how much we can lend to you. Now, on the flip side, we suddenly realized that we have access to all this really interesting information about your business. So where your cash flow is going to be, where we predict your cash flow is going to be in a month's time, for instance. And we realized that we should be giving this back to the business owner because this is really valuable information, not just for us in terms of working out how much we can lend to you, but also in terms of where you can see your business going. And, based on the predictions that we can provide you, you might then be able to make better decisions about where you invest your funds and, business decisions in terms of, what you plan for over the coming months. So with that in mind, we are in the process of launching a new tool called our Cash Flow Advisor. And it's a free tool. So anyone who signs up to Thinking Capital, any business who signs up will be able to opt in to currently it's a weekly email, but in a few months' time, it will be a dashboard that will provide you with cash flow predictions about your business. So really interesting insights about where we believe your business is going. So in terms of kind of providing insights to small business owners, back to your question, Ashoka, what I would say is, don't take it from me as someone on screen that's going to provide you with generic information about businesses in general. I would say sign up to Thinking Capital and opt into our free cash flow advisor tool that will actually provide you with custom insights about your business today. It's something that we are very excited about, and we're going to be constantly growing. And soon we'll even be able to provide you with instant notifications. So let's say we see that your cash flow is going to go below zero or below a certain amount that you decide. Let's say you always want to have a safety net of $5,000 in your bank account. You could set that up in Thinking Capital. So you could say, I always want to have $5,000 in my account. And then we could notify you when we believe that you are going to be going down below that amount in the next 30 or 60 days. So you could have insights effectively ahead of time. So we will become your crystal ball where you will be able to get these free insights into your cash flow.
Now, that's really fascinating. Thank you, William. When is Cash Flow Advisor going to be available?
So it's already available in email form. So if you sign up today, you can opt in to, as part of the sign up process, you'll be able to tick a box that will then allow us to send you a weekly email with insights into your business. So where we believe your cash flow is going in the next 30 days. There's some fancy graphs on there that are really easy to understand. And we have kind of, easy explanations about the data that we're showing you and what it means for your business. And then you're going to be constantly adding to that. So by, I guess, probably, early to midsummer, you should have access to a full dashboard of information in your Thinking Capital account. So you'd be able to sign on wherever you have access to internet, on your phone or on your mobile or on your desktop. You'll be able to sign in and be able to see where your cash flow is going. And there'll be lots of other exciting tools as well that we're going to be adding. So you'd actually be able to see how you're performing in relation to other businesses in your sector or in your region. So you'd be able to see how your competitors are doing in comparison to you. So this is really interesting, insightful data that previously small business owners did not have access to. So we're really excited about it.
Yeah, no, it's very fascinating, and it's remarkable to see how innovative the industry is becoming and how that really benefits small business owners. And at the end, as you said previously, being the backbone of the economy, I think the fruits are to be borne by everybody. So this is really cool stuff. Thank you so much, William. I know we've covered a lot of ground and you've given a lot of, I think, a trove of information and wisdom for our viewers. But is there anything else that perhaps we didn't touch on that you wanted to speak to, William?
If it hasn't been sort of clear through this conversation that we've had, Thinking Capital is passionate about the small business space and, passionate to help small business owners realize their goals and their business goals. And especially the difficult times that they've been through over the past year, the products and services that we are providing are more relevant and more important than ever. And so, all I would say is I would urge any small business owner who is watching to sign up to Thinking Capital. Will only take 5 minutes of your time. And then from there, we can really add value and really help your business with no commitment required from you. And the other thing I just wanted to touch on is that we have a really strong customer service team. We're very, very customer service orientated. And this is something that we feel is really important because with so many financial products and financial service offerings, with that whole sort of mystique around them, the fact that they've been overcomplicated by so many providers, we want to make sure that we as a provider, not only offering something that is as simple and as transparent and upfront as possible to you as the business owner, but also that we are very much there to help and guide you through the process. So, we have a 24/7 chat function on our website and throughout the sign-up process and within your Thinking Capital account. So you have always got access to help from one of our friendly agents. And if now's not a good time, you can also always book an appointment and we'd then be able to call you back. So we are very customer service orientated. And that's something that's I feel is very important, especially in this industry that we're in.
That's great. And William, where can small business owners or viewers go to learn more about Thinking Capital, your offerings, Cash Flow Advisor, or even to book one of these appointments?
So the best place to go is our website, www.thinkingcapital.com. And then from there, they would be able to get access to a treasure trove of information. So all of our products and services are detailed on our website. But if they have any questions or they want to speak with an advisor, there is a chat function at the bottom of our website. There's like a speech bubble you can just click on and then instantly start a conversation with either myself or one of our reps. And we also have a contact us page where you'd be able to email in to get access or pick up the phone and contact us by phone.
Well, wonderful. Thank you so much for your time today, William. It's been a pleasure, and I really hope we connect again and you keep imparting wisdom to our viewers because there's a lot of movement in the space, and it's always good to keep a finger on the pulse as innovations occur.
Definitely. Fantastic. Thank you so much for your time, Ashoka. And as you say, you're happy to stay in touch. And I think, as you say, it is a fast moving environment. Things are constantly changing for small businesses, and the unpredictability out there is so difficult to manage, and especially in these difficult times that we're in. So, that's really kind of where we're trying to step in and make sure that we're providing as much value as possible to help provide some security to our business customers.
Well, thank you so much. I hope you can go enjoy some of this nice weather we're having.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
All right. Bye, William.
Bye. Thanks, Mashoka.